is live. Which one you going live on? What?
I'm still confused.
Yeah, should have been in there.
So what'd you bring us to drink over here? What is that? You said you brought
this is Brugal, Dominican rum.
It's what now?
Dominican rum.
Dominican rum. Let me see. So I'm gonna try some of this.
Please do.
Okay, I just poured it. I made some ice. How do you pronounce this?
Brugal.
Brugal. So you trill your R's.
Yeah.
Gotta trill your R.
It's good.
So rum, just straight rum, or rum and Coke, rum and water. Rum
Well, I like doing
juice?
rum and Coke.
Okay.
People do rum and cranberry, which is weird. Or rum.
We do
and,
got cranberry over there. Or do we do some rum?
I'm gonna just try a little bit of rum.
Huh?
I might cut
I mean,
it with some
Hey,
water.
You gotta get on this mic right here.
Yeah, talking to the mic. I showed you where the sweet spot was.
Yeah,
right?
you did.
Why don't we get a little closer? You might want to move your chair back a little bit
Back or forward?
over this way.
Okay. Oh,
Man, just say whatever you want.
Well, Garrett said he pointed on the mic thing.
okay.
I'm just listening to Garrett's direction right now.
Right.
So yeah, the closer you are, the better you
The better.
sound. Like
That's
All right, Brugal.
Brugal. Yeah, it's the national Dominican drink.
It actually is very smooth,
It's super smooth.
and that's very uncharacteristically. Normally I take a sip of alcohol and I'm like, because I'm a B word sometimes. But
Well, it's made. The majority of it is from sugar cane.
okay, so I'm diabetic now.
I want to try this.
Insulin is cheap in Canada.
It's not here, I don't think. So
What
that
is-
stays in.
You
It
just
controls
gotta,
your pouring.
Oh,
It's
yeah, there you go.
you know,
Okay.
it's new age. We're not going to let you be an alcoholic.
Pretty much. Yeah.
must have
The
been.
their insurance
Did-
agent made him put it in there for a discount.
Thank you for bringing it.
No, of course.
Yeah,
not.
thank you so much. Especially now that we know the backstory on it, because it is quite interesting bottle. I've never seen that before.
Well, I'm Dominican.
Okay,
So that's literally like the national drink over there.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, it's really good.
so are you born over there? Or?
I was, yeah. So I came here when I was 9 years old and 19.
So rum is like Russia's vodka.
pretty much.
Okay.
It's the easiest to produce.
Do they laugh at like Sailor Jerry's and
Yeah, they don't drink
Malibu?
Yeah, they don't drink that shit over there. They're like,
Captain Morgan.
What is that?
What is Captain
What
Morgan?
is this garbage?
No, man. So you want to go ahead and introduce who we got here?
Yeah, no. Introduce yourself as it's a sergeant. What? Tell me how it goes exactly, because I'm gonna screw it up.
So Sergeant Moises Espinal,
Okay.
or Sergeant Espinal. I don't go by my slave name anymore. It's just Moses. So a little bit about me. I did 7 years in the Marine Corps. I joined in 2007 at the height of the Iraq War. Didn't get to go to Iraq, unfortunately, but deployed to Afghanistan in the spring of 2009 during President Obama's surge. And then again in the spring of 2011 while doing like final clearing operations of Helmand province. I mean, I joined the Marine Corps. Let's back up. I came to the United States in 1999 when I was about 9 years old. And 2 years after that, 9/11 happened, you know? So I was close to 11 years old. And it was something that was pretty much ingrained in my mind.
Where were you at?
I lived right outside of DC.
Okay.
So from Alexandria, Virginia, you could see the smoke
Wow.
from the Pentagon when the Pentagon was hit.
Oh crap!
And that was something that was ingrained in my mind, you know. And I was a little too young to say, "Hey, I'm going to go fight for this," but it's something that left like a very lasting impression. And by the time I turned 18, or closer to 16, 17, I knew I wanted to join the military service, specifically the Marines, solely to go fight. You know, so I joined in 2007, and the rest is kind of history.
No, the rest is still being made. Like you're still doing things, man.
Big time. Hey, Garrett, hit that intro real quick. Let's get this rolling, and we'll guide.
I got the yellow ribbon. So, you know, it's okay. It's okay. You know. How many times did you sit back just relaxing? Understand movements coming in, yeah, we got the packs in. I don't really wanna see no more traffic. Last pack just came in, let's get it out quick.
I had a hard
Wanna be okay, wanna be alright.
What's that number?
Wanna see the world.
Right.
when you get in a situation like this, you know, when you look at like a person of your stature, like, you know, you fight for a country.
Yeah, they want to silence you.
Yeah. And you've been doing a lot of like crazy since August, all this stuff popping off. You kind of jumped in there with a group of veterans.
Right.
That's something that's very, you know, it's a lot. Cause I mean, you've been over in Afghanistan. There's a lot of people over there.
Yeah.
And you family both sides, but there's family over there.
Can we do some comparison real quick? I mean, so you've been to how many countries now?
So, I mean,
I know you've been everywhere, right?
over a dozen, I would say.
So where does Afghanistan stack up in as far as like the poverty level or the governmental level or the stability level?
I would say like, and I'm not even lying to you or like exaggerating, Afghanistan is probably one of the most beautiful countries I've been to. I mean, it's raw, it's untouched, you know, like I remember my first deployment, we got dropped off in the middle of a field at 2 a.m. And when the sun came up, my first thought was, I'm like, this is just like the time of Jesus, you know, like the house is made out of mud, canals, cornfields, grasslands, you know, untouched and just beautiful to the eye.
Right. So did you get like whenever you came back the second time? Did they have like something that states that you've been there once, twice, 3 times? I mean, how is it notified or is it on your uniform? Or?
No, yeah, the smell never goes away. And to this day, I still have like my plate carrier with me. And I've watched that over 1,000 times. And the smell from Afghanistan will not leave it, which is amazing. I mean, it brings back so many good memories and bad ones too, but.
So it's going like eating Mexican for lunch. You really go back to the office.
What is
like that
in Afghanistan? What is a typical, like, say you're over there and it's, I mean, there's like, of course, over here, you know, we have street lights everywhere. Mm-hmm. Over there, there's no street lights. I mean, it gets dark. It gets dark.
So it depends on what kind of, what area you're in. For the most part, like the bigger cities are, I don't want to say industrialized, but they are more modern than the rural areas where we were operating in. So the Marines, for the most part, lived along the Helmand River Valley, and these were the most rural areas of the country, right? So there weren't roads. There was electricity to some extent, but it cut off after a certain hour. No Wi-Fi.
So all that's controlled by somebody then. Who's got the button on the electricity?
So most of the utility stuff falls to the provincial government, and infrastructure, they're not there, right? So for the most part, I mean, if you have a day with power, I mean, the locals are happy, but that's not always the case, right? In Helmand province, for the most part, most electricity is run through hydroelectric dams, specifically the Kajaki Dam up in the northern province or up in the northern part of the province.
It's even crazy to think about from here.
And that was like my thing, because like everything going on right now, getting, you know, evacuating these people, getting people out. Like there's a lot of articles I've read was like moving through the dark.
Yeah.
Like they moving through the dark. And I mean, there's that's kind of like when I was thinking like it's going to be super dark.
And that's how it is. You know, like I think people don't understand how poor Afghanistan really is. I mean, they have a lot of natural resources that they may be able to exploit in the future. But again, infrastructure wise, they're just not there. So a lot of the commodities that we enjoy here in the US, they barely touch that in Afghanistan.
So they don't have iPads everywhere.
Surprisingly, everyone has a phone. So everyone has an iPhone or an Android. Never saw an iPad in the areas that I was in, but everyone had a phone.
Would you feel when you were over there, when you met some of the locals, they take you in and cook for you, become friends, or?
No, yeah. So, I mean, the locals for the most part. So in the southern provinces, there's this thing called Pashtunwali, right? So Pashtuns are,
so provinces like states within the country.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So the southern provinces are the main demographic there are the Pashtuns, right? Which is where the Taliban originally came from. But they have this code called Pashtunwali, and it encompasses like hospitality, revenge, and then like service to community, like that kind of BS, right?
So it's like the Rotarians of.
Yeah. So like as far as being hospitable, these are some of the most hospitable people in the world. You know, like if you're their guest, they treat you out. For example, one of the elders on my second deployment that we've made like really good friends with, we had a little incident with his family. It was forgiven, but after he got back from recovery, this guy slaughtered a cow for us, you know, threw a great feast for the squad. So again, they treat you as family if you treat them with respect.
Right. So respect is huge there then.
it's probably the
Everything.
biggest thing.
Okay. So we see it from, I guess, first world eyes.
Well, or fake media or news.
Or
It's
fake
like,
media.
We see it all kinds of stuff. You don't really ever get to see, like you're just describing, like being over there, how beautiful it is. The people take you in, and that was like, and then the reason I say is like, because I kind of dug into the, what y'all are doing, trying to help people, because you get such attached to, think, man. I mean, like we stay on the coast. I mean, of course there's some travel, but like it's like if somebody came to the coast and was trying to attack the coast. I mean, and then they'll try to, keep you in. What you going to do?
Call the boys.
And that's, and I feel that's kind of a thing where it shows Rex. Like
Moses.
Gary, do we have some photos of him over in Afghanistan with some of the locals? Which is kind of a crazy thing. We know that was, when this August hit, I mean, it hit pretty hard.
Right.
And I mean, this is 20 years and it's like, all right.
And I mean, and it's not that it was unexpected, because everyone kind of knew it was coming. I think what surprised people was with how quick it came. I mean, back in 2011, I knew this was not a lasting project. Like the U.S. could not sustain that kind of war in perpetuity, right? But for the most part, most people believe that the Afghan army would be able to hold off the Taliban assault or onslaught for a longer period of time. And
Aren't these Afghan army? I mean, it's like they wake up in the morning and they can choose to be in one or the other.
yeah.
So has there ever like crossed like?
And there was a big issue, and I think strategically the U.S. failed there. So Afghanistan, for the most part, is made up of many tribes from different regions with loyalties to the tribe. So the idea of a central government doesn't really sit well where the people that have their loyalties are aligned to their villages and their tribes, right? The same thing with the Afghan National Army. A good portion of them came from the northern provinces, right? So like the anti-Pashtun people, the people that took down the Taliban.
All right.
And then another portion of them came from eastern, western, and then a very small few from southern Afghanistan. But at the end of the day, right, here in the U.S., we have one national entity, right? We have one national unity.
Yeah, one flag.
Right. In Afghanistan, again, we went in there, we toppled the Taliban. After we toppled the Taliban, we said, hey, we're going to create a strong central government, which pretty much goes against everything Afghans believe in. And then we're going to create a national army and an Afghan uniform police in the image of our
lightness
of our country, right? I mean, it sounds great in theory.
That's what we know.
It doesn't work in places where there is no national unity. So there was always that expectation that once America left and once the support that we're providing these Afghan army and the Afghan uniform police, once that vanished, so would the army, right? They were highly dependent on our air power, highly dependent on the services that we were providing as far as like contractors to fix their helicopters, to fix their jets, to run their logistics. And as soon as that disappeared, so did the fighting spirit of the Afghan National Army. Not all of them, though. Like there are some like hardcore freaking Afghan soldiers. And
yeah, I remember reading an article on some guys a couple of years ago.
There's like one dude like Rambo.
Yeah, he looked like The Rock.
No, I mean there's some good dudes that like would throw down with you, and you get into a firefight and they would get in front of your squad and they would give it to the Taliban, right? And those hardcore guys, whenever the government fell, they ran up to Panjshir Valley, which is like the home of the Northern Alliance, and they consolidated their forces there. Unfortunately, the valley fell a couple of days ago to the Taliban, but at least they continue the fight, you know?
All right. So how in line or in communication are you now? I mean, I just heard you take a phone call before we got on here. You guys are doing some stuff over there right now. We've got people trapped, and tell us how you are using your I guess expertise in this measure.
So it's been a super interesting month, really. Because once the Taliban began their assault throughout the country, the Marine veterans and soldiers and sailor veterans, we kind of kicked into high gear as far as getting these interpreters out, right? So I can say that for the past, again, month and some change, we've been working, I mean, like around the clock. I know like the first 3 weeks I went every night with about 2 to 3 hours of sleep, right? And it started off as a group of like 4 or 5 Marines. And we codenamed it Operation Pashtun Wali. So with that group, we were able to get out close to 40 interpreters and their families through the gates of Kabul, the Kabul airport.
That's the big one everybody's hearing about.
Correct, through the North Gate. So we coordinated highly with some of the Marines on the ground that we knew at one point or another during our time in the Marine Corps, and they were helping us drag people across. Right. So like I was working with Thomas Praxidis, Nick Romer, and Dusty Batson.
Shout out, you guys add these people to your prayer list out there. They need it.
No, and Hannah Romer, and we were. It's rough, right? So like Afghanistan, they're 9.5 hours ahead of us. So wow, during the day, during American Day, we would be coordinating with different government agencies to get these people into to try to get these people into the gates, right? And that was their nighttime. So during our nighttime, it was our turn to coordinate with them to get them to the gate. And I'm telling you, we tried for like close to 12, 13 days to get them to push through those crowds. And it became pretty hellish. You know, at one point, there was a stampede. One of the spouses of my personal interpreter was like stepped on. So she suffered some injury. One of the kids of Dusty's interpreter almost got suffocated. It was hellish for the most part.
So are these interpreters people that you guys met while y'all were there? Or?
No, so these were our personal interpreters, like the guys that lived with us, slept with us, ate with us, fought with us, kind of thing, right?
Brothers.
Yeah. Brothers.
Yeah.
And again, they wore our uniform, and we tell them, you know, like you wear the Marine Corps uniform. At that point, you're our brother, you know, and we take care of family.
That's right.
So we were able to get through Operation Pashtunwali close to 40 people through the gate, both American citizens and Afghan SIV applicants. And then we teamed up with Gunnery Sergeant Denning, Aaron Denning. He's still active in the Marine Corps. He chartered a 501c3 called the Allied Extract. And through his efforts, we were able to push close to 100 people on buses through the Kabul gate, through the HKIA gates. So what we did through numerous rounds of fundraising from both like small donors and larger donors, we were able to make some contacts on the ground close to 10 to 15 individuals to drive buses from Kabul, from various areas in Kabul, to Hamid Karzai Airport. Once the airport was shut off, we shifted our operations to away from getting people to the airport and more towards getting people from Kabul to the province of Mazar-i-Sharif, which is the most northern province of Afghanistan.
And that's where the forces are a little stronger, able to.
Correct. So we currently, through a vast network that we've developed on the ground, we're currently housing 148 individuals, one U.S. citizen, and 147 approved SIV applicants throughout numerous safe houses in Mazar-i-Sharif.
What's SIV?
SIV is like a special immigration visa designed solely for Afghans that assist the U.S. forces or coalition forces in the I guess fight against the Taliban.
Is that something that's coveted for their citizens?
And is it leaked? Is it leaked too?
Well, so funny story about it being leaked. An article came out a few weeks ago.
And then hold on a second. Garrett, do we have any comments in there? We do. Okay, hold on a second. Then we just want to catch on this. So this is where we're telling you about the comments. So you're gonna see the flow. And this is Brian. He's got his podcast in Ocean Springs, right?
Yeah.
Shop and Chivery.
Shop and Chivalry.
Chivalry. This country is lit by trial fires when you're flying over it. Tribal flyers.
Yep.
Guido owns Juke Joint in Ocean Springs. Super dope dude.
Sure,
Thank you for before.
Thank you so much, Guido. Appreciate the support, buddy.
So yeah, my thing is, and that I know I'm probably gonna be on the same article you are, but leaking some of this. So these allies, these passports, some of the stuff gets out. You're giving people get this information of why these people are in Afghanistan. Their information get so all this stuff going on. They can get a list of paper and then go to their door.
Literally. So
who's getting the list?
So I guess what happened, and somewhere I must have fallen asleep and woken up, and the Taliban were our partners because that's how we're addressing them now, right?
No, I feel like that 100%. Like we're giving them.
I feel like we're kind of in Star Wars. I feel like we're kind of in Star Wars right now.
So our Taliban allies were given a list of high-ranking Jaroa or Afghan government officials, interpreters, U.S. citizens, U.S. residents, green card holders, and their location. They were told, hey, help us find these people so we can bring them to the airport. And I'm not sure if the current administration was paying attention to what happened in the past 20 years and how the Taliban
maneuvers
reacts to people that work against their interest. But excited to find out how many on that list actually made it to the airport.
That's crazy to me, but I mean, to be effective, they got to have somebody that's double operative, that's on the inside too. That wouldn't be out of the question.
I mean, so I can't speak to that much because the Taliban that I freaking faced,
they're all dead now.
They were about the Taliban movement, and they are all dead now.
Hell yeah!
So I'm sure the CIA has some contacts in there because they be doing some shady stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as like the hardcore Talibans, no, I don't believe they would work for the interest of the U.S.
All right. Now, that makes sense too. I mean, because there's such a internal hatred there. Do you know where any of that came from? I mean, they look at us as not of the Quran, right?
So I think the backstory is, like when the Russians had a puppet government there in the 80s, the CIA heavily funded the Mujahideen to overthrow that Russian-backed government and then obviously kick out the Russian occupation. The Mujahideen were a bunch of warlords that came from all over Afghanistan. They were brutal. And the people didn't like that. They were not very holy, I guess. They didn't follow the scripture as far as the Quran. And then you have this guy, Mullah Omar, and that comes from Kandahar in Kandahar city, saying, hey, like, these guys are infidels. They're the bottom of the barrel, scum of the earth kind of thing. So he gets his students from the madrasa. Taliban or Talib translates into students, right? So he gets all his students. He gets them riled up. He starts like going madrasa through Kandahar, Helmand, Farah, Nimros, like the southern provinces. And he's like, hey, we're not going to stand for this. And they kind of throw away and they kind of wage war against the Mujahideen, right?
So it's essentially the same thing as like I guess a protest that eventually grew legs and then arms.
A very violent protest.
Yeah.
And they overthrew the Mujahideen. So with them in control of Afghanistan, they started allowing certain terrorists to operate within their boundaries, right? And the U.S. didn't so much like that, especially Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda. And the U.S. started doing started launching missile strikes against different areas of Afghanistan. And well, we know what happened after September 11th.
That's right. So I told you I watched that thing on Netflix, like coincidentally, and I can't remember the name of the show, but it's about 9/11, and the first whole episode was just in Afghanistan, and it kind of shows you where we went in like the late 80s and what what did you call them? The strikers or the things that shoots the helicopter down?
The Stinger missiles.
Yeah. And they were like, that was the first thing that gave them to stand a chance against the Russian military. And I was sitting there scratching my head, I was like, man, the Russians were in Afghanistan? Yeah. And that's how clueless I was to any of this.
I mean, Afghanistan has a very rich history of like occupation, rebellion, civil war. A lot of powers have tried to go into Afghanistan to I guess pacify these tribal and rural regions.
Certainly, there's not the other.
They got a lot of opium. They got a lot of opium. Opia. Is that how I'm saying it wrong?
Opiates, yeah.
They got the largest amount in the world.
Yeah, so right now they're producing close to like 85% of the world's heroin production comes from Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's like so
it's amazing.
Yeah, so there. I mean, you got this place that has like not so infrastructure's not there, and you got these countries that are going. You know what? I mean, who's getting it?
Well, is that what they're all fighting over? I mean, like you hear people fighting about Saudi Arabia because of the gas.
Well, not necessarily, man, because like in 2000, when the Taliban came into power in 96, 97, they outlawed the production of opium or poppy, right?
The Taliban.
The Taliban did. And whenever the Taliban government was overthrown in 2001, again, the country kind of went into like this spiral of instability. And warlords became warlords again, right? And the U.S. government tried different methods to get people to produce other crops. But poppy is the easiest to grow, is the fastest to grow, and it pays the most, right? So
yeah, don't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right. So again, the Taliban were in the South anyways. The Taliban was like killing people for producing opium, right? When they went away, it kind of came back up again to where, like, I mean, in 2004, like Afghanistan's opium production or poppy production was like less than 25% of like the world supply, you know, to where it is now at 85%.
So it's like a catch-22. Like you got one people controlling, other people take rise, and other people control other people.
On the back end, when the Taliban were kicked out of power, they saw that as a big revenue source, you know? So like they started taxing villagers that grew poppy. They're like, hey, we'll move it for you if you pay us a tax.
Dude, it's like a mafia. I mean, it's a mafia, bro.
Well, they are thugs, and that is, they're thugs, you know, like it's a business. They hide behind the screen of religion, but at the end of the day, they're no worse than the Italian mafia. They're no worse than like these gangs in like New York and LA, you know, like same behavior.
Well, I mean, you saw it out of the Catholic Church, the Crusades. I mean, it's our way or the highway, and then you just make it full. I mean, nobody's got the right answer.
No, I mean,
it's all about tolerance.
Everybody was pocketing from that, you know, like, I mean,
well, we got some questions over here. So let's go with can't even see. We got Tony up here. Of course, they haven't been paying attention. Edwin, what's Edwin saying?
Can't read. It's all over my shoulder.
I can't see it either. Can you see it?
Yep.
Semper Fi.
Edwin, Semper Fi, brother. Thank you, bud.
Yeah, let's see.
Tony's talking about humping goats.
Yeah. Don't worry about Tony Moore. He's a special one.
All right. Brian said it's a different regimen seeking legitimation. The WIFM factor. That's a lot.
Let's see. Bye-bye.
Over the shoulder read. All right. Let's see. Come on.
Organized crime, basically.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
No, exactly. I mean, and it's understandable why they did it. You know, like, so poppy production goes through or you start farming, or you start planting poppy in the beginning of the year. By the springtime, the poppy, so like by March, April, the poppy's fully grown. At that point, they start scraping the residue, which is where the extract, which is where the heroin comes from. So
wait till they get our indoor grow operations that we leave them.
Right.
You're gonna be having to produce them year round.
So look, so in May they start selling it, and by mid-May they have the funds available to make IEDs, to buy more, to purchase more weapons, and at that point they go on to their full fighting season.
Yeah, how much of the Taliban? I mean, what is it, like 80 billion they do a year or something? It's something crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Like they're funding themselves, like they're through all this.
So you just said something that stuck out to me, and that is fighting season. So like we have a football season.
Yeah.
They really gear up for this. I mean, is it like too cold during the winter so they stay, or
they hibernate?
So the winter times is again prepping for the most part. I mean, you'll have like small scale attacks.
Yeah, strategic.
But for the most part, they go back home, they go back to their mountains, they go back to their hideouts like cockroaches, and they start planting or they start gearing for the harvest season, right?
Yeah.
And then early spring, again, they have their harvest, and then May comes around and it's like balls to the walls with these attacks.
So you think if we have this intelligence that's so known, we know when to hit them, where to hit them, where to put the raid bomb and the church. I don't know.
Well, so I mean,
guys, just to be straight up with you, we do not know a lot about this.
Yeah, nor do we call any of the shots when it
legitimate
comes to
on all this
world.
stuff. Yeah. But my thing is, and with, you know, there is a whole Afghanistan with all this going on, the funding, all this money going, how much we spend over these years. You know, the big issue that you see is like how much work, 20 years. There's a lot of people that lost their life over this fight. And to see like in the recent time, all this happening where it's like, hey, you can't now what's going on, Garrett? I seen today is the blocking of the planes, 6 planes stuck.
So So I think there's been a pretty big failure on both the previous administration, the current administration, and a lot of, a massive failure right now on the State Department. As I mentioned earlier, through Allied Extract, we've moved close to like total 160. This last trip, it was like 140, 148. I'm sorry. We were able to rescue, I believe, 46 or 47 employees of a big U.S. organization. And through that organization, they were able to charter a plane, pay for all the flights. It's currently like between $5,500 to $6,500 per seat to get these people out of Afghanistan, right? So the flights there through an airline that I won't disclose, we have a pilot on the ground. We have a plane ready to take close to 150 plus some people in it, children and labs. And we've hit so many hurdles from the State Department, so many hurdles. Like they won't authorize clearance. They don't want the plane to fly. They're having some issues with like the host countries that are currently processing SIV applicants.
Our country's doing this.
No, do you think that it's because, like, all right, it's at the end of the day, like you find out and then it's the mirror, like that's the catch. Like, I was talking to somebody the other day. You've seen Star Wars, whenever he cuts Darth Vader's helmet off and in the vision and it's his face underneath Darth Vader. That's how I feel about some of our created problems or lack of response to over there.
And it's ridiculous, man. Because like I mentioned earlier, these guys wore our uniforms. These guys went out there every day with us, they saved lives, like we were able to so communities or regions were pacified because our interpreters were able to speak eloquently to what we were trying to pass to the Afghan people. We formed these leaderships. We created these alliances with like these tribal elders because our interpreters were able to pass on a message that we were trying to pass. At the end of the day, like when we got into firefights, they were there. They didn't carry any weapons with them. They had a minimal body armor, but they walked the streets with us. They got injured with us, and at times, they assisted in helping our injured.
Is that because they saw the bigger picture? Or they knew why you were there.
Well, they were also in a sense fighting for a better Afghanistan. They knew that a regime under the Taliban wasn't good for anyone. For themselves, their spouses, their kids. At 7 years old in the tribal areas, the Taliban will go and say, hey, has your daughter been arranged yet? If not, we're going to go ahead and marry her to this commander. You know what I'm saying? And women walk out by themselves. Like, if, for example, a woman walked outside of her home without a chaperone, a woman walking outside of her home without chaperone, she would get stoned. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not in a good way.
Not in the worst of ways.
In the worst of ways.
They find you listening to music that's non-Arabic or non-Quranish or whatnot. They cut your ears off.
No outcasts.
You're none of that. No reggae, none of that. They catch you stealing, they cut your hands. They catch you like saying something that's forbidden within the Quran, they cut your tongue off. So these interpreters and the Afghan National Army soldiers, they understood that we were there to give them a better future, per se. And personally, I believe that I was there to give those people a better future. And I could tell you, like, on both of my deployments, man, and we'll use my second one as an example, right? This was one of the hottest districts in freaking Helmand province. And the unit before us was 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. They lost close to 25 Marines there. Before them, it was the British. They lost close to like 60 something British soldiers from 2005 to 2010 when they were relieved by the Marines. Our unit suffered 17 killed in action and a little over 200 wounded. And the changes that we saw when we got there too, by the time we left, were like amazing. Like, so by the time we left, we had built a road that ran through the district, connecting the district to the provincial capital. We had built numerous hospitals and numerous schools, to the fact where attendance for girls when we got to the district was like, you could probably count it in two hands, to over 300 young girls going to school and getting a decent education. So
you saw the fruit of your labor.
And it was amazing. And it, to me personally, it felt good. Because while we did kill the enemy, we also gave these people a better future, and we showed them what a proper country should be.
Right.
We showed them what the freedoms that they should strive for, you know, and honestly, so politically we lost this war. Tactically, we never lost ground to the Taliban, never gave anything to them. Politically, it was a mess, right? But the hope is that through our example, through what these children experienced in those 20 years that we were there, they understand what actual freedom is. And hopefully, you know, like you'll have an Afghan leader.
So that's what I was going to say. So, I mean, if we as humans right now were to leave and we were to go to, let's just say Mars, okay, and we colonize Mars, we have to leave somebody behind in order to give a set the ground rules of what to expect there, or else, you know, some other planet may come, and if there's no one there, they're going to act like it's a free country.
Right.
You can't just come in and establish. And I think with that, you know, we would either had to stay in there forever, or stay in there forever at a certain sense of let's find somebody who can sustain this.
I think, you know, blowing this over quick though with that, Matt, like the thing I have with that is like 20 years, right?
Right.
There's people kids that you've seen as babies grow up as men now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, this is like, you know, 17, 18, bro, what were we doing? We ain't even, we're just excited about like new development. We're getting pumped about like, we're going to be a part of this team.
PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Like we're going to join this force. And then all of a sudden that's kind of where I'm at with this, is like, cause you've been around a lot of these people that you see they grow up and they're inspired by you. They want to join, they want to fight,
but surely they're torn. Like my cousin just went to go be in the Taliban. Why not?
Right.
Or something like that. You know, I don't know.
And I guess it's a rough place to grow up in, you know, like I like to think Afghanistan as like an extreme of emotions, right? So like one day you're playing with the kids, giving them candy. The next day you're picking up kids' body parts, you know, like from a suicide bomber or an IED. One day you're talking to like a village elder. The next day his cousins or his brothers are freaking fighting against him. You know, like one day you're happy could be walking with your Marines, and the next day you're putting that Marine in the bag. You know, so it's like a roller coaster of emotions. And we experienced that for 7 to 9 months, right? These kids grew up with that. But again, I think the hope on my end, and I think a lot of veterans would agree, that the hope is that those kids are able to see that we weren't there for their country. We weren't there for their riches. We weren't there to colonize. We were there to make their lives better, right? And the hope is, my sincere hope is that they can use that and actually form like a pretty strong like base against Taliban rule. And again, like the Taliban from 2001 is different from the Taliban of 2021. Basically. And we're hoping that some of those kids that were that grew up around us and did join the Taliban movement, as any other political party here, right? A more violent political party, obviously, but that they have cooler heads and have more moderate views of how a government should be ran, and hoping that if those kids did join the Taliban movement, that once they do move through the leadership or through the ranks,
they're not so extreme.
They're not so extreme, and they actually welcome these more democratic ideas while still keeping that Islamic base.
Do you think that it's going anywhere, the Taliban? I mean, you can't just erase something off the map. I think they've proven that over and over again. But like you just said, the views of something can be directly changed.
Well, yeah, the base of the ideology will not go away. No. You know, like, I mean, the Taliban.
Death to the infidel.
That's what they say, but we killed them first, yeah. Right? So
allegedly. I'm good.
No, but the ideology will. Go away, come from under the rocks once it gets dark, and then run back into it as soon as light exposes on them. But
they're like vampires, bro. They're like, I'm telling you, they're like they do the shit. They're not true fighters,
right?
They're not gonna go they're not going back to back.
So I'll tell you, I mean, as far as fighting capabilities, respect. I'll give it to them on that aspect, you know, because it takes some heavy balls to go up against the biggest freaking army in the world.
Oh yeah.
To go like
fearlessly.
attack a patrol base in the middle of nowhere that has the support of assets such as C-130 gunships, Cobra helicopters, like
Moses.
Moses, right? It takes balls. So that's on a warrior's perspective, that's respected. Ideologically wise, no. Like, and if I honestly had the opportunity, I would kill more.
It sounds like you need a third tour.
Yeah, I wish. No, but again, as a warrior race, they're respected. Just because again, like you go toe to toe with the world's sole superpower, and you keep up the fight for 20 plus years. Respect.
Yeah.
Ideologically wise, again, cowards. Going around beating women, going around like
suicide
raping children.
bombing.
Right.
I mean, they're pulling the whole Footloose thing where you can't listen to music.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. Find more positive things to do with the country. Try to build infrastructure, try to do better the country. Stop focusing.
Yeah, running water.
You always say this thing is like people should stay in their lane and focus on them. I feel like I feel like they're just the Taliban's. I feel like they just focus too much on what other people are doing and not focusing on the growth of,
well, I mean,
a better life.
We're hoping that the past 20 years have made them realize that you do need international support in order to thrive as a society. Because I mean, we
shut off all the medicine.
They have like the raw resources, but they have no way to exploit those resources, right? So we're hoping that them realizing that they need international support to actually be able to become like a powerhouse in the region, which they have the military power to do so with the equipment that we left them.
Unfortunately,
but how much money? Like, when do we start cutting off the money to them for these resources? Like, what year did we start cutting off the funding to like?
Well, so like they have like large lithium mines in Afghanistan, and the Chinese are currently gonna exploit. The Chinese are working on exploiting that through their Silk Route project.
Silk Road.
Yeah, Silk Road, right? So the Chinese just recognize the Taliban as the legitimate government of Afghanistan. They're gonna be doing major like investments in their infrastructure.
So when you say lithium mines, that's for bombs, right?
Well, for microchips. Okay. So like on the cell phones and the bombs too, like everything requires like these little lithium chips, right?
Okay.
And Afghanistan has undetermined amount of freaking like.
See, I've always seen lithium on my computer,
right?
But I never knew that it came from a mine.
Yeah. So they have to mine just like ore or gold or silver or whatever, and I think that was another strategic blunder of the U.S. Like why not make this country self-reliant? Why not make the Afghan government self-reliant with the natural resources that they possess, which is a lot, but instead of focusing on like making this a good government, I don't even know
what did they do?
Nothing. And they're still doing nothing, which is
what you guys called to action.
Correct.
And being called to action is a huge thing, man. That's one of the reasons me and Jordan were so happy to get you on the show. I mean, we like passion. Of course, we like people that can tell
not huge too, though. Like, I mean, you fight for us. I respect the military. I don't know too much about what's going on, so it's great to have you tell us about all this stuff.
Yeah, very informative.
But what my thing is like, you got these people that go out and they leave the United States and fight for our country, and in any condition, because we are a country that is honestly pretty damn lazy.
Yeah,
and we have everything at our fingertips.
Right.
I mean, I can go to 4 different fast food places.
Right.
If we want to go to New Orleans right now, let's go.
And I think that's the biggest problem. I think I was telling you earlier, for 20 years, the American people forgot that there was a war going in Afghanistan, and it came up in the news, like it was trending for about 3 weeks, and now it's down, and now it's dying down again. And I find it appalling that people are not up in arms, demanding that the government do right by the people that helped us. Right, the fact that these people came to our assistance, because that's what they did. We needed them more than they needed us.
They're brothers. They're brothers.
They came to our assistance with the promise by the U.S. government saying, "Hey, like you help us, we'll help you." Right.
Yeah.
And now, I'll give it to the Biden administration. They extracted 124,000 Afghan nationals was the last number they gave, I believe. But if we look at the numbers, right, prior to Kabul falling, there were 20,000 interpreters plus their families, right? So let's say like maybe
60,000, maybe more.
maybe 60, and like about 10 to 15,000 Americans, right? There are still thousands of Afghan interpreters stuck in Afghanistan. I get messages all day. They're like, brother, help me, please. Like, I served with the U.S. Army in Kandahar. I served with the U.S. Marines in 2008 in Farah province. I served with the Navy as special operator in the northern provinces, like hundreds. And my friends are doing the same. So it begs the question to ask, if you brought in 124,000 people, why are there still citizens stuck in Afghanistan? Why are there still green card holders stuck in Afghanistan? And why are there still interpreters and their families stuck in Afghanistan? So who do we bring in? You know, I know like during the initial phases of the evacuation, they were allowing people with just like a birth certificate. They're like, oh, they were taking people's words for it, right? And
which is not the way to do anything.
My hope is my hope is that when they get to Qatar or when they get to the UAE or Albania or Georgia, wherever it is that the State Department is actually processing, they catch this extra 40,000 people that shouldn't have been allowed in. But
they're not going to.
And it's a shame.
They're still, I guess, refugees.
And I guess we'll pay for it on the back end. What I would like to see is for the State Department to take ownership of their job. And
can you, for our listeners, can you explain what the State Department is?
Yeah, who the State Department?
Yeah, who are they?
So the State Department is one of the executive departments or whatnot that pretty much oversee or manage any external relationships between the U.S. and any other country. And they primarily, in this situation, they're the primary department dealing with the approval and denial of Afghan visa applications, right?
So is this like out of the Pentagon or is this out of the White House? Or
so they have
Wait, one second. Hey guys that are listening right now, we're live. If you don't mind sharing this podcast, we're live. We're definitely gonna get shadow banned. Like we're definitely getting shadow banned. I just want to say, guys, if you can do this for us, share this because
it needs to get out.
We did have a Senator Bryce Wiggins that came on and he was talking. When it comes to politics, it's a whole different field when it comes to social media. So before he gets in this, guys, please do us a favor, share just for the movement, be a part of this. Thank you for listening. This is very important. Definitely. You have like 20, I don't know, man, you've
opened some eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
So
like you're inspiring us.
So currently what you guys
so the State Department has people in just about every other government agencies, right? As liaisons or as support. So they have liaisons in the Pentagon, they have liaisons within the White House, they have liaison within the legislative branch. And then they have people posted in different countries, right? At embassies that, again, communicate and have relationships with these countries. So as far as communication with the Taliban, that's the State Department's job, right? So you have like your ambassadors, you have your consulate representatives or whatnot, and these are the people that maintain communication with countries throughout the world, right? At this point, the State Department, so
they shut down the embassy. I saw that
the embassy shut down, and not dogging on them. I know they're overwhelmed. I understand that. I know they have limited resources. I know they are doing the hardest they can, and the people working for these government agencies are patriots. And I appreciate that. And I thank them for their service. But the fact is that they're not doing enough. The fact is that while they should be working 24/7 to make sure that we meet our commitments and we keep the promises we made, they're not doing that. And I will say just a quick shout out to like a few congressional leaders that we've been working with. I know Senator Palazzo's staff has been amazing. Congressman Randy Weber from Texas has been amazing. My colleagues, both in Allied Extract and Operation Pashtun Wali, have been in contact with different senators and congressmen throughout the country. And some of their aides have been working 2-3 in the morning with us trying to resolve the situation. The bottleneck is hit when we get to the State Department. So like I mentioned earlier, we secured a flight. We have the funding for the flight. We have a manifest submitted to the State Department. The State Department will not approve clearance for this flight. Now,
is it just sitting in a stack of papers full of?
It's kind of like how many licks can you get to a lollipop?
Well, and again,
that's how I feel right now.
And this is not a Biden problem, because like the Trump administration and Obama's administration I have an interpreter that has been working on an SIV application since 2010, And the last time it was touched was back like in 2015, and they haven't touched it again. No denial, no approval. No, they didn't send it back, no comments. So it just sitting there. No one is giving it the importance that it should have, that it should be given, right?
How many of these cards or applications are we talking? I mean, millions?
No, I would say
hundreds
maybe
of thousands?
At max, maybe 100,000. No quote me that number because I don't know.
Well, your guys, I'm coming
right.
in
No, yeah.
cold.
So I'm not entirely sure what the actual number is. But again, the fact is that they could be doing more. They have additional resources that they can pull to process these applications.
Yeah, because they were quick to talk about all the jobs that they just created in the economy. But it sounds like there's a big hole there.
And the fact is, again.
So Biden, if you're watching this.
Seriously, Biden, if you're watching this, let a fire in their ass. Like the fact is that we're not talking about, hey, these people are going to be in poverty for the rest of their life if they don't get their SIVs. These people will die if they don't get.
They're walking around knocking doors with a piece of paper identifying where they live.
Look, the 148 people that we have in the northern province right now across different safe houses, if they go back to their home, they will die.
Yeah, dude.
They will get executed.
They're on that list.
Like they are.
Dude, they're going around to these people's homes and going, yeah, well,
Yep, long hair, check.
They got all the information, so they're just picking these families out that.
So how can people here help you? I know that we've got a link for funding. I know you're saying that you've got funding, but more funding is always going to help.
Right.
But
so we're currently burning through close to a couple of $1,000s a day in safe house expenses, and then like moving people from Kabul to the Mazar, right? So if people do have a penny to contribute, or if they have any major donors that they know, Allied Extract is again doing an incredible job on the ground as far as getting people away from these hot hubs or hot zones into the northern provinces. So if for the listeners and the viewers out there, if you do have a penny to contribute, go to alliedextract.org and pinch in a penny.
And we've got that. We can share the link on there, and I think it's on the bottom. So if you guys are watching, if you're not, spell it out. What is it? ALLIE.
Well, Kathy and Susie, guys do a little donation.
Yeah, we can do a donation.
Let's do it.
Sure.
They got a I think I put a Venmo up there too, Garrett. Do we have any comments? I don't know if we have any comments, guys.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
But we'll do some donation with Kathy. Let's see, it's me, Garrett, and Matt, and we're brothers.
Yeah,
I will say Garrett's
your
getting
brother
married.
now too.
Yeah, and
Moses.
there it is right there.
Well, thank you, man.
And we're a family though. Man, what you're doing,
and you still have a full-time job. You told me you're a CPA at a local hospital. So
Correct.
So you're burning the candle at both ends. You just had a child. You're married. You got a family.
It's been a rough month, and my wife Angelica, she's more than supportive. She understands that this is really important and personal to me. So she has kind of taken a bigger role as far as like taking the kids to school, playing with the kids, like doing everything else with the kids, while I concentrate on getting these people home. So much love to her. She's very much appreciated.
And shout out, she reached out to me. She reached out to me.
They say behind every good man's a great woman.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yeah. Hey, cheers
to that.
And she reached out, and when she gave us, was going through the whole thing, the story, all that, like operations going on, like. I was like, Matt, I threw my phone. I was like,
we had to vet you.
Yeah, we're sitting there like, what? This is like really.
But worthy, because me and Jordan are both sitting here watching the news, and the news does a shitty job of keeping people informed about what they don't want you to know about.
Right.
So you're bringing firsthand knowledge to the table. You've got people over there that you guys are effective, which is, like you said, something that some people certainly struggle with.
But it comes at a price too, and that's another scary thing. Is like, guys, we do need to donate. We need to support because it does come at a price.
Well, so. Initially, a lot of the funding for Allied Extract came from
credit cards.
The group,
I rode their whole thing.
Yeah, I know
cards.
Aaron Denning ran his credit cards through his roof, and so did his brother, who's also a CPA, right? I've contributed to it. A lot of my personal friends have contributed to it, and I think at the peak of the evacuations, there were a lot of companies that were created to help Afghan refugees, And I'm not gonna mention any by names, but there's one individual one that raised close to like $7 million and only and was only able to get out like I think less than 200 people.
Was it? Can I call it or no?
Yeah, you can.
Is it Pineapple? Is it Pineapple?
No. Pineapple Express was legit.
Okay.
Like those are like U.S. veterans, U.S. Special Forces veterans, and they were actually like doing work.
So it's the same thing that you guys did. I mean, you formed a team.
But there's some other organizations that are raising like a lot of money, and with $7 million, they were able to bring out less than 200 people, and us with pennies, we were able to 140. You know, like and 148 waiting
To this date.
And
we're gonna keep going.
You don't fuck with badasses.
We're gonna keep going.
And you're one of how many
Sorry,
different
Miss
private
Kathy.
individual groups that are doing something similar to this?
I mean, there has to be thousands.
Are you guys unified at any level other than the flag that you fight for? Or?
So for the most part, there is like there's not a lot of communications between groups. I mean, every now and then we do interact to share resources.
Right.
But for the most part, it's kind of like
Yeah, I would think your interpreters are somebody else's interpreters too.
correct.
Right?
So
And we can't give out locations though. Do not do that.
correct. So like the for the Operation Pashtunwali one, right? It's me and my platoon sergeant, Gunner Sergeant Thomas Praxis, Nick Romer and Hannah Romer, and then Dusty Batson. And we were all from minus myself and my platoon sergeant. Everybody else is from different units, but we're like, let's pull our resources together and coordinate on how to get these people out. The same thing with the Allied Extract. And at this point, so here in the U.S., there's 10 to 12 volunteers, and then on the ground in Afghanistan, we have like 10 to 15. But again, interpreters that serve between 2005 all the way through 2018. And excuse me, there is a lot of cross communications with other groups, but for the most part, it's kind of like an individual effort.
I was going to ask you this too. Do you guys have like an ideal number of what you're looking for, or is it an ever-changing number? As far as like we know, once we evacuate 1,000 people, that our network's good.
If they deserve it, they're gonna be brought home. At the end of the day, like we do a really good job of vetting these individuals. Again, people have been reaching out to us via Facebook, via Instagram, via LinkedIn, even to me. And at that point, I'll take the individual contacts number. I'm like, "Hi, connect me to your contact here in the U.S. who you serve with. Show me all your documents." Right. And we go through some extreme vetting before we're able to put them on a manifest to like move them away from Kabul to the northern portions of Afghanistan, which is something the State Department didn't do. Not calling them out.
It's all about this one airport. It's all about this one airport.
Right, so is there any kind of reverse program for all the people who think America's so bad that we can get them signed up and send their asses over there? Or
I mean, that would be a dream come true, because I know a few people that
it would probably surely change your outlook.
The crazy thing is though, when you see, and I said this earlier when you came in, it's like, one thing I always say is, and you can take it anyway, but the respect that our military gets when people serve. I've lost friends from PTSD. It's been hard. You see these people that went over there. I mean, when you sign up, you go over there.
Yeah.
You're away from your family. You're away from everything. It really bothers me with this is like y'all sacrifice so much. Comforts of living, not having a TV, like
having the
dirt,
urinate at 32 years old.
Moses' photos of him and his face is covered in dirt. I mean, literally, like you're living in a dirt bath.
So thank you for that. Well, cheers to all of our veterans and active military.
But to see that,
thank y'all so much.
See that what you went through to get out because you served, to see what y'all went through, and then go, you know what? We're going back. We're going to keep fighting because it is a family. Because these people that you're talking about though are like brothers. I mean, it's about what country you're a part of, what religion you're part of, the relationships you build with these people. That's family, and you don't leave family.
And I'll tell you what, man. And I'm only speaking for myself here.
Yeah.
And I'll speak for a few of the buddies that I lost over there. I think the sacrifice was well worth it, and I think good Americans are appreciative of what we do. And I've seen that during these past couple of weeks, people reaching out to my wife or to myself saying, "Hey, how can we support the cause?" I mean, I have random people I had a random lady from Arizona. she got my number through LinkedIn. She's like, how can I help? People from Idaho, like calling, hey, how can we donate?
Well, that's us. I mean, we've seen it and we jumped on board and we were like, how can we help?
And that's what it is, man. And that is the true American spirit right there. You know, like that is the true American. Because at the end of the day, like the people that love this country know how to appreciate the troops. Now, I think other people are clouded.
Yeah, you see people stomping on American flags and when the move, like I said, they're like, oh, we hate this place. This place sucks.
And you know what? Like,
and I'm like, well, why are you still here?
And you know what? We fought for those people just as well as we did for the ones that love our country. Right. You know,
and that's one good thing about servicemen is that you look at it that way.
But you have to also, guys, you have to think about the situation of being overseas and fighting for country. I'm telling you, we're a lazy country.
Yeah,
we're absolutely.
Most of us are really good at video games.
But I'll tell you, man. Like if the country, I'm a firm believer that if the country called its people to war, the Americans will answer the call. You know, like
we better. How many guns is there in the man?
Right, more than there is people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I own those shit on myself. So.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Zero, none at all.
None.
No. You either. No, just do them all away.
Right.
Yeah, none.
Right.
But no, you see all the guns that was left behind. Mm-hmm. Okay, you see was it Black Hawk helicopters that were left behind?
Tanks, AMRAPs, small machine guns,
probably close to billions of dollars.
It's billions. But I was seeing too, Matt. It was like, so they were trying to do it like the news was trying to do a narrative like they're all worn out, used. It's not.
No,
So
I mean, the Taliban just did a parade through Kabul
with our flags,
displaying or the military equipment that we left behind. And again, we've talked about strategic blunders here. And there's a meme going around. It's like Sun Tzu saying, if the enemy doesn't have any helicopters, leave them behind, leave it to them, like, and that's kind of what we did, again.
Well, don't you know, like China's probably buying these Black Hawk helicopters and developing their.
Well, they said they're reverse engineering most of these.
So look, I'll tell you, again, in the battlefield, we did not lose an inch of ground. We took from the enemy and we took a lot from them, like a lot, and the way this orderly withdrawal was conducted was shameful. I mean, it freaking broke my heart. I'm telling you, like, I think I had like many anxiety attacks the weeks leading up to the fall of Kabul, just because of like the crap that I was seeing, and the fact that they planned that so like garbage like is baffling. The fact that they abandoned the major air base that was used to support both Afghan forces and U.S. forces on the ground before they evacuated all U.S. personnel and local allies that assisted us is baffling.
It's almost like it was planned.
That's ridiculous, man. Like, and I don't follow, like, I don't do the conspiracy theory thing, but I'm telling you, that was like garbage. And whoever advised like President Biden on that freaking orderly withdrawal, which was more like a retreat, should get fired. Like, and I'm not saying.
I mean, there's blood on the hands.
There is blood on hands, man. The Afghan army would have held if they had air support, but the fact that the U.S. government decided to abandon Bagram in the middle of the night without letting our Afghan allies know that we were leaving them high and dry. I mean, the morale freaking crashed to the floor. And at that point, it's like if our American allies that have been here withering the fight, because
if they're not here,
look, people talk a lot of crap about the Afghan army, but I mean, they've lost like 70,000 people.
Wow.
Like 70,000.
That's something that American news ain't telling you.
Compared to 2,500 some plus U.S. personnel, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, one U.S. military member that dies in Afghanistan is one too many.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, our Afghan allies have been like shouldering this burden too, and the media wants to paint them as cowards. The media wants to paint them as girls, like for running away from the Taliban. But at the end of the day, like, we kind of freaking like shot them in the foot when we took the air power away from them without letting them know, and then leave them stranded in the middle of operations in some remote regions with only Afghan-led air support.
It's fucked up.
And when that failed, because the contractors that were servicing those helicopters and jets, when they disappeared, like there was no one to fix those helicopters. So we talk about like training this army for 20 years. We talk about giving them the tools necessary to wage war against an insurgency. We talk about all the money that we poured into them, all the treasure, all the blood that was given for the Afghan army to succeed. At the end of the day, we don't talk about how dependent they were on American services, both militarily and contractuals, right? So when you step back at it and you look at it from a bird's eye view, you can see that was like destined to fail. Like it was not sustainable. These people, they didn't know how to fix their helicopters. These people don't know how to freaking like make munitions. These people don't have the factories to make munitions or to fix these aircrafts that were providing crucial air support. Because at the end of the day, the Afghan war was won by the freaking like air power, you know, like.
Yeah, that'd be like bringing an iPhone into some foreign tribe and letting it run out of power and like figure out how to charge it.
Literally. So like we gave them all these amazing weapon systems. We didn't give them the proper ways to actually like employ them or like maintain them. And then we say, oh, wow, we trained them for 20 years. Did we though? Like, fine example, right? And again, the administrations after administration have been lying to the American public, man. Like they...
Hold on. Now you said you weren't a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm just kidding.
No, and this is not conspiracy, man. I'll tell you, like...
This is real life.
So Afghan-led operations, right? Between 2008 to 2014. All we heard was like the Afghan army is doing this. The Afghan army is leading this push. The Afghan army is clearing this district. The Afghan army is taking control over this province. In 2009, when I deployed during President Obama's surge, there were 4,000 Marines inserted into Helmand province. That was more than, I'm going to say 2,800 than that was originally there, right? So we pretty much like bombarded this freaking, like the Helmand River Valley.
Right. Y'all just showed up.
We called it Operation Kanjar. We gave it an Afghan name, which means River Liberty, right? The media paints it as an Afghan-led operation. My platoon of 110, that's a big platoon.
Yeah.
They're normally 42, like with attachments and everything, right?
Right.
110. How many Afghan soldiers and Afghan uniformed police did we have during that individual patrol or during that big surge? In my platoon, maybe 15, maybe. And this was an Afghan-led operation. So again, like the media has been feeding these lies to the American public saying, hey, the blood, the treasure that we're putting into Afghanistan is worth it because our Afghan allies are taking charge. And the fact is that
there was 90% American.
Minimal. I mean, the fighting was done by the Americans. And again, you had some hardcore Afghan National Army units that were freaking like duking it with the enemy.
Done.
But for the most part, I mean, like a good portion of the Afghan army and the Afghan uniformed police were either corrupt or incompetent, and sometimes both. You know, like, but the media kept feeding the nation. It's like, oh, the Afghan army's taking over this. The Afghan army's doing this. Our Afghan partners are doing this. Our Afghan partners are doing that.
And then these are the people that they left there.
And at the end of the day, it was freaking the Americans, like with boots on the ground, with the minimal assistance of the Afghan army. So once a district was pacified, once the enemy was killed in that district, at that point, we turned it over to either the Afghan uniformed police or the Afghan National Army. And then what happened?
Could have been corrupt.
So look at this. In the district of Sengen, right? We mentioned that earlier. 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines lost 24 Marines there. 1st Battalion, 5th Marines lost 17 Marines there. The British lost close to like 100 people there. It took from 2005 to 2012 to pacify this district, right? We turned it over to the Afghan National Army. They held it for a couple of months. The Taliban did a little push on the district. And within 3 days, like 6 years of American freaking blood, American and British blood.
Taken back.
That's
crazy.
And again, but that's what we were painting the American public. That's what we were telling. The media was telling, not the media. The administration was telling the media what to tell the people, and the media was telling the people, "Hey, there's success in Afghanistan."
Well, to all of our followers out there watching, you guys, take in what you want to take in from the media. We're here keeping it real with the truth.
I want to keep going a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Can we keep going?
No, of course, man. I got time.
So you guys give us a like, share, follow.
Yeah, share this now because we're getting shadow. Like I say this, we're getting shadow banned.
So let's go back to you a little bit. All right. You said you moved over here at 9 years old. You grew up in
Long Beach,
Washington. When did you get down here to the coast?
So I made it down to the coast in 2014.
Okay. So after your deployments, after everything.
Correct.
All right. So you were retired.
So yeah, no, I was done. I was the Marine Corps was transitioning into a peacetime force, and anyone out there can tell you peacetime Marine Corps is
a lot of that waking up to run, like we were talking about.
a borderline unsavory.
I mean, you guys are trained, and whenever I don't know,
Right.
you get to do what you train for.
And I personally love my entire time in the Marine Corps. I thank the Marine Corps for all the good things it has done for me. It's given me like a brotherhood of like friends that I know would die for me and I would die for them. It's given me some amazing like work ethics, so I'm super thankful for the Marine Corps and the bonds that I developed within the Marine Corps and the experiences, both the good and the bad. But again, peacetime Marine Corps is just borderline like gay. So I'm like in 2014.
And he means happy.
Yeah.
Yes, the good kind.
Yeah,
good kind.
it's happy.
Yes, or unhappy, whatever. So by 2014, the wars were winding down. Afghanistan deployments were pretty much done, and at that point, my wife Angelica, she was pregnant with our first child, and I'm like, this is not something I want to do for the rest of my life, kind of thing. So moved down here to Mississippi.
Or we say y'all.
And I mean, I picked up the language. It's nice. It's nice people, no traffic, affordable cost of living.
They say that we have a cheap cost of living down there.
It's the cheapest. It's the cheapest place. It's the cheapest place I've lived in. So no regrets on that end. Could do better with some of the people here, but it's okay.
Hey, you got it. Look, we're live. You can say whatever you want to say. I mean,
It's our show. So
it's definitely a fun show.
So you're CPA.
Yeah.
You got to use your GI Bill, which I think is the coolest thing.
So I
you get 50,000.
Well, I mean, I maxed it out. So I got out in January 2014. By the summer of 2014, I was enrolled at MGCCC.
CCCC.
At the JD campus here, under a nursing major, working full time as a retail manager. And
Aeropostale.
no,
Abercrombie.
no,
Abercrombie.
no, too high on the list.
He was a model.
We're talking about treasure hunt here, or like dirt cheap. Okay, like,
Dirt cheap. Dirt cheap, bro.
Bottom of the barrel. Okay, like so I was working there full time while going to school. The nursing thing didn't align with my work schedule because I was working like 50 plus hours of whatnot in retail. So went to USM here on the coast to the top. And I'm like, hey, what degree do you guys offer that makes money? And they're like, do you like math? I'm like, not at all. They're like, well, you like accounting. I'm like, all right.
You look like an accountant.
Right.
Go to this class.
Started taking accounting courses in 2015. Graduated in 2017. Got my CPA license shortly after that, and then worked for a few companies here and there. PricewaterhouseCoopers out of New Orleans, which is like one of the global accounting firms. Did that for about 2 years. Then worked for Mississippi Power for a little bit, close to a year, and then currently at Memorial.
So in that path, have you found, I guess, your ties to military benefiting you? Has there ever been somebody who's like, hey man, I recognize your talent, that would have not seen it, I guess, any other way? Or is there like a brotherhood?
I think it helps when it comes to like when they look at your resume, like
absolutely.
They see
they know you're going to be on time.
Right. At the minimum. No, so that helps a little bit. Honestly, I guess in my field, the military stuff doesn't really apply, kind of thing, Right. But I'm sure employers look at it in good
it's
light.
A positive.
Correct. So it definitely hasn't hurt me.
There you go.
No, but yeah, definitely enjoy living on the coast. It's super quiet here. People are nice. Do what?
You got a boat yet?
Not yet. We're working on that. We're in the process of building a house. So,
man.
So once that's done, we'll look into the boat.
There you go.
So we got some where we at on this? We got a ton of
action. We got action.
Yeah, we're so proud of you. We got. I mean, let's go up the line, Garrett.
Well, that's my wife. Thank you, buddy. I love you.
Hey, gone before December 2013. Tony, I'm on top. Ryan Gibbons, TTT.
To the top.
Yeah, to the top. There's so many, like Brian was saying, like left behind equipment, small. Like, there's people that really. I mean, that's what the great thing about when you have this, like right here.
Yeah,
people.
that's awesome. No, thank you all for watching. I know, like, it takes a little bit out of their evening routine, so we appreciate all the people that showed up to watch this to watch this event.
We appreciate it too.
Yeah, and so Garrett, drop our own sponsorship of our own businesses. So we're gonna drop them. We're gonna go ahead and drop our.
Yeah, we will plug you. That's
and
one of our
Matt
things.
Brooks is a commercial insurance guy. You can go ahead and contact him. I kind of made him a flyer. It's a really good flyer. There he is right there. You can contact Matt if you need any commercial insurance. If you need a mattress, you know who you talk to. Me, the mattress guy right there.
Seavers called me the other day asking me for your number.
And guys, if you need any kind of diesel or Johnson Collision is more Garrett's thing. You need Johnson Collision. He'll fix cars, 18-wheelers, you name it, boats, whatever. He'll fix it.
Yeah. So
and then CPA, how can people reach you for business?
So we have I have a Facebook page.
Garrett, can you find that?
If you put in my name, Moises G. Espinal.
so Moses.
What is it?
Yeah.
So it's Moises.
Moises.
But to avoid the struggle and to avoid the butchering of the name, we just go by Moses or Mo or Jimmy.
I like Moises.
I like Moises too.
Yeah, it's nice. It rolls nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't you make people call you Moises forever?
Because people don't get
My
it.
girlfri's name is Jean.
I mess it up like John Claude Van Damme.
Right.
And I'm always messing it up. It's like it's called John. Matt's like, no, her name's not John. I'm like, dude, come on, give me a break here.
No, but I do know that. I mean, that's one of the struggles. And once you get tired of correcting it 100 times, easy fix.
No, I just go by Moses.
I'm gonna call you Moises.
Yeah, Moises works. Like whatever makes you all happy.
I like Moises.
It's nice.
It's dope.
It feels nice.
It's
right?
a dope name.
It rolls
man.
nicely off the tongue.
So what do we got here? Joe and Nikki are watching, buddy. Way to go, buddy.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Miss you guys.
And
So Joe and Nikki are the Gold Star family from Minnesota.
Okay.
Nikki's brother, Chad Froker, one of my best friends, was killed in action in the Sengan district of Helmand province on June 30th, 2011. So it was pretty awesome. This year was his 10-year anniversary. So, I mean, I would say 80% of our platoon, we took a 3-day trip up to Minnesota and we just barbecued, smoked a bunch of weed, and
that's what's up.
Just partied, man. And it was an awesome way to celebrate his life, so big shout out to the Frokers, Chad.
Cheers.
Chad was probably one of the smartest Marines. There's this big misconception about infantrymen. People think infantrymen
could we find Chad on there? Could we send Chad? Could we get a picture of Chad?
Let's see. If you Google Chad Froker, you'll be able to find them. But people have this misconception of infantrymen that they're dumb as a rock or just stupid. Some of the smartest people that I've met in my life were infantrymen.
No, the singer.
It's gonna be Chad Froker, FR, right there.
Got some images because we want to show respect.
So I mean, when we're talking about military leadership, this guy was the rock. This guy was just an outstanding citizen. One of the best Marines I've ever met. One of the best leaders I've ever worked side by side with. And this guy was like a tactical genius. Unfortunately, he lost his life in, again, June 30th, 2011, when he, sweeping through an ID's maize field, his lead sweeper, Caleb Childers, stepped on an ID, lost his left leg. Chad, while trying to rescue his Marine, triggered a secondary device, and then that ultimately ended up killing him. So I've become really good friends with Nikki. I've become really good friends with Arlene, his mother, really good friends with Joe Silver, which is Nikki's husband, and really developed a really good relationship with Brian Froker, which is Chad's dad.
Okay.
And for the most part, I've tried to keep contact with all the Marines that I served with that passed away, and become force myself into family.
Your family.
It's
now.
family.
But like you said earlier, your brothers. I played football, and anybody that I ever played football with, whether we had faux woes or differences or whatever, we developed a bond.
And that was the beauty about the freaking Marine Corps, especially the infantry, right? You have people from all sorts of different backgrounds. You have people that were poor. You had people in the middle class. You had people that were rich. You had blacks, Asians, Mexicans, Dominicans.
You know,
look, everybody, like, we had a couple of Sikhs. Like, everybody was all about it, man. At the end of the day, they're like, I don't care what the color of your skin is. We all bleed red, white, and blue. Like, and at the end of the day, like, didn't matter what my political ideology was. Didn't matter what their political leanings was. If we had to throw down, I knew I knew 100% of the time that if it came down to it, they would take a bullet for me. They would step on a pressure plate for me, and I would do the same for them. So that is
cheers again. Garrett, you might want to come in here and cheers with us. Do you need more bourbon, Garrett?
That is, and honestly, that's why I love America. Like, we have a lot of flaws. This country has.
Well, everybody's got flaws.
You see my flaws earlier when you came. Like, we were an hour late.
Right.
An hour late. And I'm like, because we just moved our, like, guys, this episode, you don't see me with a laptop or a switcher.
Right.
And we had so many difficulties with the internet. And Garrett was behind that. Matt was behind that. And, me and Matt we've been friends since we were like kids. This is my brother. This is Uncle Mike Child. This is my right-hand man. This is like, to me. And we balance each other out, and I'll get these kind of moods because I'm into the technical thing of like how I want the show to feel.
Right.
Because I want when people watch, I want them to see a show, like a show of comfort or show of telling a story. We're a small underground network.
That's exactly what it is.
That's it.
Which is awesome, man. And like I was telling you earlier, man, like these kind of shows are needed because like you have a pretty nice following. Like you have people that are like committed viewers of your podcast, whatever it is that you're like putting out, but it exposes them to things that they otherwise wouldn't be exposed to.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and it's amazing that you guys are, again, I am like super thankful.
I always say
you guys took me in to like,
I always say Matt for us is like, one day we're going to end up on a milk carton.
Yeah. We're going to tell a story that somebody didn't want us to tell.
Yeah, like,
I mean, the Dixie Mafia is still around, right?
Well, put me on a milk carton because, you look at a platform where, when me and Matt started our podcast, it was like a brotherhood. Like, it was like learning.
Podcast second was our motto. We were just here to have fun.
And then, but we're really trying to grow it to where you enjoy, because your news, your media, your news you see now, it's all just fucking
negative.
No, but I'm saying but you watch it, you can watch it, guys. Watch all the cuts they do. Cut. We're about to do that shit.
Right.
And we're doing it to a level where you're like positive news. Well, it's going to be real news. It's about people that actually like you're on our show because you're fighting for something. And honestly, it's worth the fight for us because you fought for my freedom of my lazy ass. Want to like stream all I want and be late, like party all I want. But like, we're going to have a platform that always gives, that respect to an open source, because any kind of newscast you go now it's how much money they can make in advertisement.
Right. No, man, and again, I'm super thankful to be here because again, it exposes people that otherwise wouldn't be exposed to the content that we're like providing today, right? I think, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are disconnected from national or international conflicts that the U.S. is currently engaged in, just because like they're not shown, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So it's like you can't blame the blind for not seeing what they can't see. And the fact that you guys are doing this is amazing because it exposes a lot of the truth that
definitely gonna get on a milk carton.
Yeah.
it exposes the truth that
can you show Moises the photo he's holding hands walking? That's one of my favorite photos, and I put it in the back of the flyer. You see that? I was like, spent time. I mean, it took me a couple hours to make this. That right there is powerful. I don't give a shit who you are. That is powerful.
And you know what, man? Like, my friends, my brothers, we go to sleep at night good, knowing that we went into Afghanistan. I've never killed a civilian. I've never harmed a child. I've never did anything to anyone that didn't deserve to be hurt. Right. No. And our sole mission there was, again, growing this new generation. And you create allies by fostering good relationships. You create allies by treating people with respect. You create allies by teaching kids the right thing to do. And a simple gesture of like holding a kid's hand and walking through like a dangerous path. I mean, to me, it may be nothing, but to that kid, he's like, wow, like this American guy was willing to walk with me down this alleyway, was willing to walk with me down this freaking maze field, was willing to die with me if there was an IED there. And at the end of the day, they'll remember that. And that's what I remember.
Fuck yeah.
You know, like, so I sleep good knowing that. And the execution of violence, I never hurt a civilian. I never hurt a woman. I've never hurt an elder person. And every person that I used extreme violence against was a person that was trying to kill me. And I got the best of them. So
You're here. So cheers to that.
cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
All right, guys. Well, we're
Yeah.
wrapping us up. We're about to do, honestly, would you enjoy jumping on no video, audio only after hours?
Yeah, man. I'll be all for it.
All right. So guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. One more time. It's Allied Extract.
Allied Extract.
And it's alliedextract.org.
Yep.
And where else?
So hit them up again, guys. If you have a penny, donate. If you know any major donors out there, every penny counts. No one's getting paid off of this.
Drop that Venmo one more time, Garrett.
Yeah.
Venmo's
we
strong.
appreciate you coming on and sharing the message.
Definitely appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, we're gonna have him on. Let's do after hours.
All right.
After hours.
All right. We don't have to talk about it on here. We'll talk about it after hours.
All right.
That's why it's called after hours.
I know it's secret.
You just get so excited.
I know because
Guys, appreciate you.
audio only.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see y'all next time. Thanks again.
Thank you guys so
Take
much.
care. Send it out.
I got the yellow ribbon. So, you know, it's okay. You know. How many times did you sit back just relaxing? Understand movements coming in, yeah, we got the packs in. I don't really wanna see no more traffic. Last pack just came in, let's get it out quick.
I had a hard.
Wanna be okay, wanna be alright.